Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience podcast. Today I have with me Aleric Heck. Aleric is a leading expert in YouTube ads and runs AdOutreach. Thank you for joining me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to dive in.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you kind of get into the marketing space? Anything in terms of career pivots, and how did you kind of just jump into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started, back in 2009. I created a YouTube channel. It was a totally different platform back then. I mean, you probably remember, right? It was standard definition videos, star rating system. It was very early in its stage. There wasn't a lot of professionally, produced content out there. It was just a lot of stuff, on YouTube. So back in 2009, I created a channel, App Find, where I was reviewing, mobile apps, technology tutorials, and it really started to take off. All of a sudden there were, hundreds of thousands and then millions of people that were watching my videos. And, this was like early on, which was incredible. It was, obviously over like 11 years ago now. And I remember I was growing the channel. I was getting new sponsors. I was getting people who were, interested in having me promote their app on their channels. They'd pay me, thousands of dollars to talk about their app in some of the different videos, to talk about their products, do all these kind of brand features. And by the time I got into college, I wanted to really turn this into kind of like the 4-hour work week. So about 6 years ago or so, I hired a video editor, script writer, business development person, other peers that I had kind of with me in the university I went to, and I actually was starting to turn it into kind of like the 4-hour work week. I had read 4-hour work week. I was so excited about that. And I knew that I wanted to really build more than just a YouTube channel. Like I knew there was so much more. I always loved marketing, video advertising, passionate about that. And so what I did was I actually, took this YouTube channel, I automated a lot of the features of it, right? So the video editing, the script writing, the business development. So I was kind of still the face of it and the voice of it, but I had all these different people working behind me. And that gave me the ability to experiment. So one day, about 6 years ago or so, we had a particular application that sponsored us, a social media networking app, and they got tens of thousands of downloads, hundreds of thousands of views or whatever, and they're like, "This is great. Can you post the video again?" And I say, "Well, that's not exactly how it works, as you know and I know, right? You can't just post like the same video the next day and expect to get the exact same results with new people downloading. It's gonna be the same people watching it for the most part." And so I was telling them that, and they're like, "There must be some way." And that's when the wheels started to turn a little bit. I said, "What if we take this video and your app, and we run this video as an ad to people that are similar to those that have already watched it and downloaded the app?" And I started learning how YouTube ads worked, and I started experimenting with it. And I ran a campaign for just $500. In 1 week, we got over 11,000 users for their app. It was incredible. They were blown away. And so they call me up, they're like, "Hey, we've got another big promotion." I actually do a promotion for a company that, on YouTube with YouTube ads, we're running thousands of dollars a day for this one. And, that actually ended up becoming, a unicorn company, which was crazy. And then from there, not because of that, but like, that was like the company that did it was like a big name, I mean to say. So obviously I'm not taking anywhere near any, don't yeah, not to misconstrue that, right? But at the same time, it was that level of company. So this agency that was kind of hiring me as like an influencer, but then I was starting to do some of these YouTube ads for first a small company, then this bigger company that would then grow on to grow even bigger. Basically they said, they called me up and they said, "Hey, we want you to quit college, fly out here to Silicon Valley. You can head up our YouTube ads division. Nice kind of 6-figure salary, all this other stuff." And I turned it down. I said, or what I was thinking, I didn't necessarily say this, but because obviously I was very gracious, and it was hard. It was a tough decision, but at the same time, I said, "You know what? I actually feel like I want to be the king of my own castle." As a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners can, relate to that, right? I want to be the king of my own castle, even if it's a smaller castle, than be the knight, leading a department in somebody else's. Even as exciting as that sounded, when I was, in college, to do that. And so I created originally AdOutreach. We were, using YouTube ads to promote mobile apps. We drove millions of app downloads. And then another pivotal time came about, 4.5 years ago now, about a year and a half into running YouTube ads for mobile apps, which started 6 years ago. I realized, wait a second, it's not just mobile apps I can promote with ads. I can actually promote other businesses. I got into ClickFunnels, and I saw them at a conference at, HubSpot Inbound here in, in Boston, Massachusetts. They had a conference back in 2016 that I attended, and I went to the ClickFunnels booth, and I got my ClickFunnels account. I started learning how to build funnels and all those things. And all of a sudden I was running YouTube ads for funnels and for, courses and for coaches and for consultants and for, online businesses and e-commerce as well. And then, eventually insurance and real estate, like basically all of these different businesses that needed leads, you could run on YouTube. And that's what kind of it evolved to today. So over the past 4 years, I've been really refining this method for YouTube ads for businesses to kind of skyrocket those leads and sales. And today it's a done with you process. So we really position ourselves very unique where, we're helping our clients hands-on set this up, but at the same time, we're training them and giving them the tools. So instead of like an agency where they're kind of paying them forever, kind of beholden to them, we're actually helping to train them hands-on more than a course, but, hands-on. And then we're basically giving them the keys so they can continue to grow and scale. And that's what we've done to this, to this day. And it's really exciting.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of refine what you're doing in terms of a space based on the industry or market changing, technological advances. I mean, I'm in digital marketing. I've been in digital since 2008. So I'm not doing the same things I was in 2008 or utilizing the same platforms to, reach a target audience or even the same strategies because some things became irrelevant. So it's one of those things I know of people that still do things exactly like they did during that time, but it's one of those things that it's important to adapt and innovate. So I think complacency is the death of innovation. So if you have a business and you refuse to innovate, I mean, if you look at the Fortune 500 list, majority of those 10, 20, 30 years ago, they no longer exist. Or so I think like ads, or in this case YouTube ads, whenever they or a platform comes out with new features, new ways to reach audiences, new formats, embrace it and not be standoffish to it.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more with that.
So, what motivates you to succeed? Obviously, those motivations may have changed over time, but what currently motivates you to succeed?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that the biggest thing that motivates me, especially today, is just building an incredible team. I absolutely love the team that I have. And, I was actually just looking, literally yesterday, we kind of put together our holiday card, for some of our clients. And we're also going to post on social media, all of that as well. And it's just like all the different faces of our team members and, and some, in some cases, I have some of their family and stuff like that too. And just, right now we have over 30 people on the team, which is just incredible. How much we've grown, especially in the past year, we've grown a lot. I think we had, 6 to 8 people this time last year. So we've really, really grown. And it's just been incredible. And so I think that the thing that motivates me the most is by, really being able to be there for our clients and for our team and helping to, basically lift everybody up and having this common goal that's going to be able to hit things. Innately, though, I've always just been motivated by achievement, but I think what I've attached to it now as well is like what the results of that are. So I am more directly involved in, in the overall strategy that goes to our clients, but also more and more I've been making a conscious shift to like how much me taking care of my team will now translate to clients, because obviously, we have kind of an elite kind of inner circle of clients that I work with, but the majority of our clients are working with a lot of our team members. And so, I know that if I can give them the best experience and lift them up and train them and, really take them all under my wing as like, team members. And obviously we're all working on this together. Right? It's not just, me there. It's like everybody has their own ideas and things. I think that's the biggest thing that really motivates me now. But I've always just had this insatiable desire to achieve. If you're familiar with like the Enneagram, I'm like a high, on the 3, achiever, like a 99th percentile. And it's just always what I have had in the back of my head. Like, I don't know anything else other than making sure that like whatever I do, I strive to do at the highest level. And, that's in business is the main area that I manifest that. Obviously I try to do it for other places as well in my life, but that's the biggest area that I dive into. And so I've been very excited to scale things up, to hit different records and achieve. But at the same time, I'm tying it back to what does this do to my team? And then therefore, what does that do to all the clients and all the people that I impact? Because really, trickles down to so many people, because it's not just me impacting my team at a high level who impacts our clients at a high level, but then it's also those clients, how they're able to serve more people, because, we're helping our clients market. And, we've got clients that teach people, how to get fit, how to get in shape. We have clients, who sell certain products, that might, help somebody or make somebody look better. Or, maybe like we even have a client that sells ocarinas, right? And it's just like this lighthearted, incredible thing. And we're running YouTube ads and, they're getting like a 3X, I think some might be 4, but like an average, like a 3X ROAS selling ocarinas, that they make. And they have people that like hand paint some of these. And it's just incredible that, we can help that person succeed and live like the dream that they want to live. But also we can help all the other people that get those ocarinas find an incredible amount of joy. And he's got some that are kind of like, Legend of Zelda themed, a video game themed. And it's just, and you can see, because we know some of the testimonials that he's gotten, like, all right, the reaction that people have when they get this. And so it's really just this impact, creating the biggest impact possible. The most direct impact these days is with my team, and then also with my team to the clients. But then the clients, it doesn't stop there. It continues going down, and that's what really motivates me these days.
Yeah, I agree. If you have, obviously, if you're a solopreneur, obviously a little different, but when you have a team, or building or scaling a team, it's important to kind of take care of them and figure out what their needs are and pass down that expertise that you have, so then you can scale your business and know that clients or whatever your business is, that business is in safe hands. So obviously, I think that if anyone wants to learn anything, like, that's obviously knowledge, you can teach them that. Some of the soft skills, it's a lot harder. By having that passion and drive, you can teach it, and then, you don't have to monitor the team as much. So if you own a business or a company, there's tendencies to micromanage. So when you reach a certain comfort level with your employees, obviously teaching them processes or knowledge or strategies or tactics, when you reach that comfort level, you can step back and obviously focus, in your case, like you said, bigger, high profile clients, or, new business, or whatever else you find as like a top level goal for your business.
Exactly.
So what's one thing that you may have seen as a weakness in yourself in the past that you've turned around and utilized as a strength today?
See, that's a great question. So I think that there is, in terms of weaknesses, is I would say that there's like, it's always the double side of the coin, is what some of your biggest strengths are also some of your the opposite, the flip side of that, double-edged sword, right? Is the weakness. And so I'll give a couple of examples. So in one, I talked about how insatiable my desire for achievement is. And, at a certain point, like that could become a little bit unhealthy, right? Everybody, I think, knows kind of the classic example of somebody that's just like achieving or accumulating more money or revenue or whatever, just for the sake of that. And they're not tying attachment to other things. And you end up actually not being that happy when you do that. And I have fallen into that trap in the past. And, luckily what I've been able to do is find the enjoyment that I have, like in the team that I have, the impact that I have, the clients that I have. So I think that it's one of those things where, that is something that, is a double-edged sword, right? Because if you're really after achievement, if you don't tie fulfillment to it, you're going to run into a problem. And you hear, even if you listen to, Tony Robbins talks about this as well, right? He calls it the achiever's curse. Is a lot of achievers are unhappy, right? Because they don't have that sense of fulfillment. And so that's something that I've really been focusing on is, okay, how can I one of the things I love doing right now is we're building just this incredible culture with our team, even remote based culture, right? Where, on Slack, like we have all these different, we have different emojis, we have wins channels. We literally constantly, we have a channel that's dedicated to client wins. So it's all of, like basically a client posts like, whether they got their first sale or, they're tracking for their biggest revenue month ever, or maybe they got their ads launched or whatever it is, we have a whole channel that just all day long is getting filled up with our client wins. And it just reminds you of like why we're doing this. It's not about, necessarily just hitting those numbers, although those numbers also are important, because the problem is you don't want to necessarily get complacent, because then, you're not growing, you're not impacting more people. But it's also not just about that growth, it's about what that impact is. And so I'd say that's probably, one of the weaknesses I've had in the past, is not remembering that the joy is in the journey, and instead of living in the future being like, all right, I've got this goal, I'm not going to like sleep until I hit this goal or whatever. It's like saying, well, I know I want to hit this goal and I will, but I'm also going to enjoy the journey and the process in between now and then.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, enjoying the journey. And I think for me, it's a moving target. So obviously, you don't reach a goal and you plateau and you hang out. I mean, which you can if you're comfortable, financially sound, if that's what you want to do. I'm not knocking that. But usually, when you get to a point, you're going to have the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So you have to be able to be passionate about it and enjoy it for you to not, lose sight of, why you're doing it or why it makes you happy.
Exactly, exactly. And so it's always, like you said, it's always a moving target. And what you can do is you can just refine how quickly you move back to, on track, right? And so, like there's always going to be things that pull you off a little bit, one direction or the other, right? And it's kind of like this balancing act, right? Between, you don't want to be too overly fulfilled that you're complacent, but you also won't be too achievement hungry that you're like got blinders on and you're only looking at a goal and you don't care how you get the, it's basically, how can you get in between? You can find that fulfillment and that enjoyment. And, also you can be creating the business and the impact that you want to create along the way.
Yeah, I agree. So, what's one piece of advice you could leave with the audience, personal or professional?
That's a great example. That's a great question. I mean to say, in terms of advice that I would give is really just, focusing on, what you love to do and bringing people onto your team that do things that, are going to complement that and things that you don't find energy in. It was game changing for me. And this is also something I realized a little earlier on, but I'm even realizing smaller bits of this now. Game changing to me that some of the things that I hate doing the most, other people love to do. Like I personally, it's hard for me to, imagine somebody who likes getting into the very nitty gritty details of operations and like, this is oiled here, this is doing this, and like, checking in on this, like having a list of things to check in on daily. But, I have an incredible head of operations, Julia, that just does a fantastic job. She loves it. She like eats, sleeps, and breathes operations. And her lifelong dream was to be the head of operations at like a consulting company. And so it's just like, and she's just fantastic. And so I found somebody who can come into my company and enjoy doing the things I don't enjoy doing. It's the same thing in other areas as well. I think the challenging part is when you get to a level of scale, when you have to bring people on to do things that you do enjoy doing. That's actually harder. So once you realize that, yes, you can hire people to do things that you don't enjoy doing, you're like, this is a game changer. And then you want to do that for everything, which is good because as long as you have the budget and the cash flow to sustain it, it's great for you to do that because then you can focus on what you do best. But at a certain level, you're going to realize if this is what you want, because there's another direction where you hire somebody else as the CEO. But if you want to be the CEO, there's other things that, or you're going to have to come off your plate. So for the longest time, even as we scaled, like, just to like long after I should have, I was still managing my own ads and my own ad spend. I was managing ad spend, for our accounts when we were doing like, $500,000, $600,000 a month. And, I was still managing all of that, all of the ads. I didn't have even a single media buyer on my team because, and a little bit of that, and I like to think I'd try and be, humble. And, I didn't realize that ego comes in different ways. It's not just the Lamborghini style ego. It's also, kind of the ego saying like, oh, only I can do this. But, because I was thinking because I'm the YouTube ads person, only I can run our YouTube ads. But then I realized, wait a second, like this is actually holding us back. And so we brought on media buyers, and they've just been fantastic. And they've been like leverage. I literally had a meeting this morning where I said, all right, I want to test this, this, and this. And they're like, we're on it. And then and then I'm going to be able to see for myself, or more likely, they're going to report back to me on Slack. How did it go? Screenshots, Loom video, whatever. And I'm going to still be able to come up with some of these ideas, but my team is going to execute on it. And so I think that, the first step, so depending on where the listeners are at, the first step is hiring for things that you don't enjoy doing, that other people do. But then, even harder later on. Again, this is later on. You want to keep this as long as, until you scale to the point where this makes sense. But at a certain point, you also need to let go of things that you even do enjoy doing, if that's right for you. Now, I decided I want to scale the business. I want to be the CEO and get to that level. And it made sense for me. Some people might realize, wait a second, if scaling to this next level means that they might be happy where they're at and running the things that they're doing, or they may go a different direction. They might hire somebody else as the CEO, for instance. But I knew for me that, to pass things off was really important in our scale. And it's just been so valuable.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, it's situational, but you're going to have to let go at some point. Obviously, if you're a business owner, product creator, author, if you have some kind of business where you have employees, you're going to need to let things go to scale. I mean, oftentimes you start out a business, it's you by yourself. And then when you get to positions where you get or let go of things that, you can go to do it for a certain level, but if you hire a professional, like you said, they enjoy it and they can take it to the next level. It's oftentimes harder to do than obviously than I'm saying, but when you realize that level and it becomes easier and easier to let go, I think the acceleration of scale becomes more noticeable.
Absolutely. Completely agree. I love that. Yeah.
So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you or anything else you have going on?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun. So if you want to learn more about YouTube ads, about omnipresent retargeting, how to incorporate that in your business, we actually put together a few gifts for listening to this. You can go to AdOutreach. That's AdOutreach, adoutreach.com/gift. And I put together links with, our YouTube ads masterclass. We also have an omnipresent retargeting training, link to our Facebook group where you can interact with me and see all kinds of different trainings. And of course, the ability to book a call with our team if you feel like that's a good fit.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.